Think about walking into the secret world of a man who really loves being at home. Consider the calm mornings when the outside world is already in a hurry, but inside his house there is complete peace. See the gentle light hitting everyday things, the quietness that lets your ideas develop on their own, and the feeling of security that keeps his private life safe from non-stop noise. Now think about this. Behind this decision, which many people see as just being shy or lonely, is a deep mental foundation built on emotional smartness, life history, deep thinking, and even modern brain science. On this path, we will find out truths that most people never stop to think about, and the last secret at the end will be the most life-changing of all. It might not only change how you see a man who prefers staying home, but also change how you look at your own habits, your own peace, and your own time spent alone. Before we go on, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with someone who would like this message, and put your thoughts in the comments. This kind of thoughtful content grows when people like you join in, and believe me, what you are about to find out may challenge what you thought you knew about how people act. Stay until the end because we will look at views that can change your understanding of life, the mind, and who you are. Now think deeply about this. Why would a man choose the comfort of home instead of the movement and noise of the outside world? Today's world tells us that being busy all the time means success, that being out there, always seen and always social is the only right way to live. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if staying at home is not a sign of being weak, but of being strong? What if it shows a personality that likes to think, is independent, knows its feelings, and is deeply connected with being real? Many people get these men wrong. They think they are running away from life. They think they lack drive or confidence. Yet the study of the mind shows a completely different story. Experts like Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi found out that people reach their best mental state when they get into moments of strong focus, creativity, and internal peace. These states are almost impossible to reach in loud or very busy places. The home becomes for many men the perfect place to find their creativity, their clear thinking, and their true self. And this brings us to another big point, having too much going on. Studies in brain science show that constant noise, crowds, social rules, and phone distractions tire out the body systems. Many men who love staying at home are not hiding from the world. They are using their energy in a smart way. Staying at home becomes a way to take care of their mind, a way to protect their focus, their balance, and their mental health. Maybe you have felt that same tiredness. Have you ever come back from a party feeling empty instead of full of energy? Have you ever felt pushed to keep up with a fast world that doesn't match your own speed? If so, share your story in the comments, because your story may show something very human and very important. Thinkers from long ago knew the value of being alone. Arthur Schopenhauer said that being alone is not running away from life, but returning to who you really are. Only in quiet can a person truly understand themselves. The man who chooses to stay at home often looks for this inner truth in his own space. He is free from acting, free from what others want, free from the hidden pressure to be someone he is not. At home, he doesn't need to fake it. He doesn't need to impress anyone. He just exists as his most honest self. That feeling of being real is one of the strongest mental reasons behind his behavior. Think about your own life for a second. When was the last time you sat in silence long enough to hear the real voice inside you? Not the noise from outside, not what others want from you, but the quiet truth of your own mind. In a world hooked on distractions, the ability to feel okay with yourself has become rare. Yet the man who loves staying at home has built this skill. He knows, whether he says it or not, that peace is found not in moving all the time, but in choosing to be still. There is also a deeper feeling here. Some men stay home because their own space has become a safe place where they heal, grow, think, and fix themselves. Life events, sadness, pain, or too much noise may have taught them that their home is where they get their power back. The walls around them become a sign of the line between their feelings and a world that often feels too much or too hard. Staying at home becomes a way to protect their emotions, but not because of fear. Instead, it is wisdom. But as Viktor Frankl taught, meaning is not found in noise, it is found in having a reason. A man who loves staying at home might be looking for meaning on a deeper, more thoughtful level. He might be finding things about himself and the world that many people miss because they are too busy to look inside. And now we come to our first big point.
A man who loves staying at home is not skipping life. He is looking at it in a different way. He acts from a place of thinking rather than just reacting. He puts depth over how things look, inner peace over being liked, and being real over acting. He is not necessarily cut off from the world. He is choosing his friends and activities very carefully. He is not weak. He is very aware of himself. And this is only the start. There are more parts to see, mental sides that show even deeper truths about who we are, how we bounce back, and personal meaning. And the last secret, the one we will look at the end, may completely change how you see being alone, being independent, and the modern man's mind. To understand the mind of a man who loves staying at home even more, we must look past what we see on the outside. Today's world often tells just one story, the idea that success must be loud, seen, and always on display. But the inner life of such a man shows a different kind of power, one made not by what others think, but by being solid on the inside. Think for a moment about the pressure many people feel to always be reachable, always social, always acting. The man who chooses to stay at home is often quietly saying no to these rules. He is choosing to be purposeful over acting on a whim, depth over noise, and meaning over just looks. Psychologists like Carl Rogers talk about the importance of living in a way that matches your true self. In his work on being real, he explained that people feel bad when they are forced to play parts that go against their inner self. For many men, staying at home is not a way out, it is a way to match who they are. It is the space where they feel free to be real, where their thoughts are not broken, and where what they do matches what they believe.
This matching creates emotional health, a clear mind, and a sense of being in charge that is rarely found in places full of what others want. Another big part is how these men take in the world. Some have a very sharp nervous system, not just in feelings, but in how their brain works, as described by expert Elaine Aron in her work on sensitive people. These people take in more details, more feelings, and more info from around them than others. Busy places, loud sounds, and intense social times tire them out faster than most people. Home becomes a mental safe house, a place where the mind can reset, fix itself, and breathe. Think about this. Have you ever walked into a busy place and felt tired before you even knew why? Have you ever needed to pull away, not because you didn't like people, but because your mind needed room? If you feel this, tell us in the comments. But besides handling feelings, there is also the point of having a goal. Many men feel that their home is where their creativity does best. Writers, musicians, artists, coders, thinkers, and quiet philosophers throughout time have found their best ideas not in busy places, but in being alone. Friedrich Nietzsche often wrote while far away from others. Henry David Thoreau went to a small house in the woods to write some of the most famous thoughts on human life. These stories are not just old facts, they show an important truth. Creativity needs quiet, inner growth needs room, and great thinking needs distance from things that pull you away. For the modern man who stays home, his house becomes the place for his ideas, a workshop for his brain, and a safe spot for his dreams. Yet the reasons can be about feelings too. Some men feel more able to think deeply when they are not acting for others. At home, they face their memories, their beliefs, their fears, and their hopes. They face themselves without outside noise to pull them away. And in this facing of oneself, personal change happens. They begin to see the habits that make them who they are, the things that hurt them, and the wants that lead them. Their home becomes a place to rebuild, a place where heart hurts begin to close, a place where the truth is finally allowed to come out. Imagine the difference. Outside, the world often pushes men to always be doing something, to be strong and meet goals. Inside, they let themselves feel, think, and be open without anyone judging them. This alone shows a deep truth. The man who loves staying at home is often more aware of his feelings than people think. He listens to his inner world. He watches his thoughts. He sees patterns. And he gives himself the freedom to feel things he might hide when he is out. But there is an even more misunderstood reason why many men like being at home. They feel that life becomes more meaningful when lived on purpose, rather than just reacting to things. Without outside noise telling them what to do, they can choose with a clear head. They can decide what matters to them. They can build a day based on a goal rather than pressure. They can make a life led by choice. This brings up an important question for you. Do you feel that your choices show who you really are? Or do you feel the world pushes you into ways of living you never picked? Think about this and share your ideas. You may find something big about your own life.
The man who likes staying home is often not lazy at all. He is watching, he is picking carefully, and he uses his energy well. He looks at his inner world. He thinks about ideas that others ignore. And because he thinks deeply, he often grows in a different way. He makes a bond with silence that few understand. But this silence is not empty. It is being there. It is being aware. It is the space where truth comes up. And this leads us to another big point. Staying at home does not make a man's world smaller. It makes it bigger on the inside. While others chase things to do, he finds depth. While others move all the time, he moves with a plan. While others just fill their time, he fills it with meaning. This mental difference creates a unique kind of power, one built quietly, with patience and steady effort. Yet we are still not finished. There are deeper levels to look at. Levels about who you are, being your own person, emotional power, and the hidden strength of being alone. The most important news is still waiting. To keep looking at the mind of a man who loves staying at home, we must now enter the area of who we are and the inner building of the self. Many people see how we act only from the outside, but the man who likes his own space works from an inside view, one made by deep thought, self-awareness, and emotional smarts. His choice to stay home is not a no to the world, but a yes to who he is. It is a statement that the outside world does not say how much he is worth, where he is going, or who he is. Who you are is not made in the noise of crowds. It is made in quiet, in the times when a person has the guts to listen to their thoughts without being distracted. One of the most famous names in psychology, Erik Erikson, said that making your identity needs times of looking inside, times when a person stays away from outside pressure to understand their own values. For the man who stays home, this happens on its own. His home lets him watch himself, clean up his beliefs, and grow a strong sense of self. He becomes less about reacting and more about being purposeful. He makes choices based on what he believes inside, rather than what others want. But identity is not just about knowing yourself, it is also about keeping yourself safe. Many men have learned from life that the world outside can be draining, asking for too much, and often judging. At home, they create a world they control, where they can let down their guard. They do not need to always check what's around them, change how they act, or hide their feelings. This lack of pressure makes something powerful, emotional clarity. And in that clarity, they find parts of themselves that had been quiet for a long time because of what society asked for. The home becomes a place of mental safety. Trauma experts like Bessel van der Kolk have shown that safe places are needed for healing and handling feelings. When a man finds safety in his home, his body finally rests. The body stops acting like it's in a fight, and the mind becomes more open to thinking and making things. Thoughts flow with a depth that cannot be reached in stressful places. This kind of safety allows for change, the kind that fixes a person from the inside. But there is another side to this, being independent. Many men who like staying at home have worked hard to grow their own emotional and practical power. They are not scared of being alone. They do not need people around them, or games, or outside things all the time to feel okay. They understand that being alone does not mean being lonely.
Instead, it becomes a type of freedom. Freedom to think, freedom to rest, freedom to grow without being stopped. This independence often turns into emotional power. When a person is okay being alone, they are not easily moved by others. They are not led by a fear of people not liking them. They are not pulled into things that go against what they believe. They can walk away from things that tire them out because they are not afraid of going back to themselves. And this is a very strong mental state. A man who is okay with being alone is a man who cannot be easily led by others. His peace is on the inside, not the outside. Think about how rare this is now. Many people cannot sit alone with their thoughts for even a few minutes without grabbing their phone for noise or distraction. But the man who stays at home has built a way to handle silence. He has turned being alone into a strength. He has learned to find happiness in his habits, his work, and his own interests. This ability to take care of his own feelings is a sign of being grown up, not of avoiding things. There is also a point of having a reason in his choice. When a man chooses to spend time at home, he often picks work that matters a lot to him: writing, building, learning, getting better, planning, or making something that counts. The world outside might offer fun, but the world inside offers growth. This move from just using things to making things is small but powerful. It changes how a person sees life. Instead of chasing things to do, he begins to build them. Instead of looking for meaning from others, he makes meaning himself. Now think for a second. Do you ever feel that your best ideas, your strongest thoughts, and your most honest views come out when you are alone? Do you notice that the best choices you make in life happen when you have space from the noise? Share your stories in the comments. Your thoughts may help others understand their own relationship with being alone. Another big part is emotional energy. Psychiatrist Carl Jung believed that quiet people do not pull away from the world because they hate it, but because they get their power from inside. Their thoughts, ideas, and inner views give them a kind of fuel that outside places cannot. For these men, home is not a cage, it is a place to charge up. It is where they get the strength they need to face life on their own terms. Yet there is more. Staying at home often creates a better sense of being in the moment. While being with people asks for your attention to go many ways, being alone lets the mind focus totally on right now. This makes it easier to handle feelings, helps you focus, and makes you know yourself better. People who meditate and thinkers throughout time have looked for this same quality of being present. The modern man who stays in his home often feels it without trying. And now we reach another big point. A man who loves staying at home is not cut off from life. He is deeply linked to himself. His world is not small. It is carefully picked. His silence is not empty. It is on purpose. His being alone is not a weakness. It is a skill. This change in how we think opens the door to the last secret, the one that will change the whole idea of being alone and having mental strength. As we come to the last part of this path, we must face the deepest mental truth about a man who loves staying at home. Everything we looked at, his identity, his feelings, his independence, his power, leads us to a big fact that most people miss. What looks like being alone is actually a relationship not with the walls around him, but with the person he is becoming inside them. This is the last secret, the one that changes everything we think we know about how people act. A man who truly loves staying at home does so because he has built a home inside himself. This idea may seem simple, but it has a very deep mental weight. Many people feel bad being alone because they are not at peace with their own thoughts. Silence feels like a threat. Staying still feels wrong. They look outside for things to pull them away from themselves. But a man who loves home has passed a point that many never reach. He has learned to live with his mind, to understand his feelings, and to take care of his inner life. His home is not just a building, it is a sign of inner peace, a mirror of the balance he is building inside. Think of the words of Soren Kierkegaard, who believed that the most important trip a person can take is the one inside. He taught that knowing yourself is the base of having a reason, meaning, and power. The man who stays at home often goes on this inner trip without even knowing it. His space becomes a place for thinking, fixing himself, accepting himself, and growing. Instead of running from life, he moves towards the deepest way of knowing himself. And this creates a strength that outside noise can never provide. But something great happens. As this inner world grows, he becomes more picky with his time, his energy, and his friends. He is no longer led by the fear of missing out, but by knowing what really matters. He knows that not every invite needs a yes, not every noise needs a look, and not every person needs to be in his heart. The world outside often likes a lot, but he likes quality. He likes real talks over small talk, doing things for a reason over just moving, and being real over acting. This is where a mental change happens. By choosing his home, he chooses his own rules. He chooses the kind of life that fits with what he believes, instead of giving in to pressure that doesn't fit who he is. And this choice gives him something rare, the chance to grow on purpose. Many people grow by chance, made by whatever is around them, but he grows by choice. His world does not just keep him safe, it makes him strong. Yet this inner strength has another side. When a man learns to like his own company, he becomes okay on his own. He does not need people to always tell him he's okay. He does not beg for a well done. He does not fear being misunderstood. His strength comes from inside. And this makes him more steady in every part of life: work, friends, making things, and choices. He brings a clear head where others are confused. He brings calm where others have chaos. He is there when others are distracted. Now think for a moment. How powerful is a person who cannot be pushed around by being lonely? How strong is a man who does not fear silence? How rare is someone who can say truly that their own company is enough? This is the best mental win, and it belongs to the man who has mastered being alone.
But being alone in this way is not being empty, it is being full. A man who finds a lot in his inner world becomes able to make deeper links in the world outside. He comes to friends not because he needs them, but because he is whole. He talks with more honesty because he knows himself.
He sets rules with more confidence because he likes his peace. He loves more deeply because he knows how important it is to be real. His home becomes the place where he makes a stronger, wiser, and more steady version of himself. And this leads us to the final and most powerful point. A man who loves staying at home is not hiding from life. He is getting ready for it. His being alone is not a step back. It is building up. Every quiet moment builds his power. Every hour of thinking makes his identity stronger. Every act of living on purpose makes his reason for living stronger. When he does go into the world, he does it with a clear mind and a strength that many never get. His time alone becomes the base of a life lived with meaning, a path, and inner truth. This is why understanding such a man needs depth. It needs looking past what we think and simple judgments. It needs knowing that peace is not being weak, that silence is not being empty, and that being alone is not being cut off. The man who loves staying at home is often going after something most people spend their whole lives looking for: the chance to live as himself, think deeply, feel clearly, and exist in a way that matches his inner truth. And if you see yourself in this message, know this: there is nothing small about your world. There is nothing weird about your want for peace. There is nothing wrong with choosing depth over noise. Sometimes the most brave trip a person can take is the trip inside. And sometimes the strongest choice a man can make is to build a life that feels real, even if the rest of the world does not understand it. This ends the look into this topic, but your own path goes on. Think about what meant something to you. Share your ideas in the comments because your thoughts may help others see themselves more clearly. And remember this last truth: a peaceful home starts with a peaceful mind, and a peaceful mind is one of the greatest powers a person can ever have. Thanks for looking.